pleasure to have Harlan back in the house here at CBS tonight. Now, I saw you on local television, Channel 28, PBS here last night on a midnight replay. And, man, you were giving this lady hell about something. What were you angry about last night?
I wasn't angry at her. I was angry about, I've been doing the promotion for the book.
The book tour. And I know how much you love the tour.
Well, one of the things that people watching don't understand is that when you go out on the road, you are truly at the mercy of everybody that you encounter. And if you're on your way to the bathroom and you have to say, look, I can't sign your book now, then they go around telling you, oh, is he stuck up? Well, I did a show in San Francisco on KGO radio, a woman named Shawn Nix. Nobody bothered to warn me about this woman. She apparently, she made her bones by pretending to be a teenager and went into a high school and went to school there for a while and then ratted out all the kids in this article. And that's how she became a notable. Well, when we got into the studio before it went on, there were two words. You know the two words that I asked not to be used about me.
Can I say the word?
No, don't even say them. Right, it's not as if I murdered three people and they're walled up in my house.
Could I just give the initials of the words?
No.
Okay.
No, you can't even do that.
Okay.
I know your secrets. Keep.
Okay, I will.
And she comes out and I said, look, that's the one ground rule. I said, I'll answer any other question. I said, call me anything you want.
But not that.
Yeah, would you please, and she said, oh, absolutely not. She promised she wouldn't. 4 minutes into the interview, and she starts in. And she starts doing it. I said, hey, lady, you promised you weren't going to do this.
Oh, asking questions about that kind of a writer.
And calling me that, and saying that. And she said,
one of the great ...
And I said, you promised. She says, well, no, I didn't really promise. Susan, my wife, leans into the mic. She said, well, in fact, you did promise. Well, this went on for some time. Nonetheless, I did the show. I signed her book. I went away. I understand that when I left the studio, they started making fun of me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I didn't find out about it until her producer, who had been away, there was a substitute producer called the PR woman down here in L.A., raging at her about my bad behavior and how dare I attack this fine woman on the air. Attack her? I would put a large hole in the side of her head if I had the opportunity. I would drop her from a great height.
With no bungee cord.
I would let feral creatures have their way with her.
I know that those three words, well, one word is okay, but the first two words that come before the W word.
The writer word is fine.
Right. It's those other words.
It's those other words which we aren't going to do.
No, I promise I won't say them in your presence.
You'll wait till I go.
Yeah, and then I'll say the secret word tonight. No, I won't. I promise I won't, because I know. And by the way, I don't think I've ever introduced you as that because I consider you to be a great writer. Okay?
It's hard enough keeping your producer, though, from doing it.
I understand.
McKay can't be trusted.
Mr. McKay is not to be trusted. Now, the last time that you were here, we had a great time. We talked about a variety of things. And as you were leaving the stage here, you said, by the way, I had a visit Sunday night from the Secret Service.
Yeah.
And you said, the next time I come back, ask me about that. What the hell happened with you in the Secret Service? What did you do now?
Mulder and Scully came to my house. I'm telling you, first of all, you know where we live. We live on the top of a mountain. So people can't say, hey, I was in the neighborhood.
Right.
When my doorbell goes off at 11:30 on a Sunday night, I know it's got to be trouble.
Right.
So I put on a bathrobe and I go to the peak hole, and we got it all set up so we can see what's out there. And I look outside, and standing in the dark, because the lights are out in the front of the house, are two people, man, woman, carrying those 14 battery flashlights like Mulder and Scully use when they go and investigate alien autopsies. And I instantly clock these two. The guy is wearing a Pima cotton shirt and is hanging out over his pants, and I know he's packing. The woman is wearing a kind of an inexpensive suit, and she's got a clipboard, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? So I say through the intercom, I say, may I help you? And the woman says, Harlan Ellison, and I say, possibly, who are you? And they say, we are federal agents. And I said, yes, and pandas will fly out of my tuchus. I'm not making this up.
I know.
No, you know me. This is the way I respond.
No, this happened, folks.
And I say, let me see some tin. Now, you understand, I always talk like a Raymond Chandler novel. It's so much easier than saying, me, I see your badges.
Sure, let me see some tin, right.
Flash me some tin, kid. Yeah. So they pull out the credentials, and they look good. But in these days of xerography, you can do anything. So I said, well, what do you want on a Sunday night? Well, we have to talk to you. I said, well, if you are, in fact, who you say you are, you'll come back tomorrow at a reasonable hour. It's 11:30 at night. It's a Sunday night. Come back tomorrow. No, we're required by law to speak to you now. And I said, and why is that? And the woman looks at the guy, and the guy looks at the woman, and the woman says, well, we're Secret Service agents, and you have been accused of plotting the assassination of the President of the United States, George Bush.
Really?
So I quickly open the door now. By now, I know these are not two Looney Tunes, but I am so, over the time I said, look, you guys, I don't mean this to be as a shock to your nervous system, but the President of the United States is not George Bush. I said, the President is William Jefferson Clinton. Hello? Now, the first thing you got to learn is...
And I'm sitting here thinking, geez, I hope Harlan's got the time frame right on this one. Yeah,
well,
okay.
I got to tell you, next to work in the Christian Science reading room, a couple of Secret Service agents, the toughest room in the world to work. They don't laugh, no matter what you say. So they say a woman in... Where was it, Susan? Topeka?
Uh-huh. She said uh-huh.
Yeah, Topeka, Kansas. Woman walks into, I don't know, the FBI and says, Harlan, Ellison, blah, 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 and plotting the overthrow. So within an hour, they were at my door. Within an hour, they were at my door.
That's how good they work, huh?
So I said, come in, get in here, you two, get in. So I bring them in, I set them down in the Art Deco dining pavilion, and we stacked my books in front of them. And I said, look, I am a world-famous author. I haven't got time. First of all, I didn't have the interest in killing George Bush. I mean, I slept through most of his administration. I said, however, I am a little peeved that Nixon croaked before I could slap him in the mouth a couple of times. This brought not a laugh at all.
Not at all.
Susan wanders in her bathrobe, and she's looking very nervous because I'm jerking around with a couple of, heavy duties.
Yeah, right.
And, I mean, they're carrying Walther PBM, parabellums under their coats. And, they're looking at the biographies at the back of my books. Mm-hmm. Not in slippage, but in most of my other books, I do these bogus biographies. One of them says I'm a 7'2" black man with a terrific slam dunk. Another one says I'm a blind nun. And they're reading these things, and I say, well, don't mind those.
But we know what they don't say, don't we?
Right, we do.
Okay.
And I said, don't pay attention to those. Those aren't who I am.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at me and says, well, who are you? And I said, well, I had an article on the people who died at the Heaven's Gate people in Newsweek last week, and they look at each other and say, oh, that's it. So while I go upstairs to get the article so they can see it, Susan is talking to them. Now, this is what's funny. They ask her for my Social Security number, and Susan says, don't you think if you're Secret Service, you should know his Secret Service number? Or his Social Security number?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we pulled him up in the computer and there wasn't anything on him, which it amazed me. All the times I've been in a can and there was nothing, It really upset me. I wasted all that time in jail. I haven't even got a record. So we finally got them convinced that I was who I was. And what it was this is a woman who we had not heard from. I didn't recognize the name at all. Susan recognized the name as they were walking away, and I said to them, we called them back, we said, wait a minute, come here. Yeah, I do recognize the name. This was a woman who 20 years ago, I found, she managed to get into my house. This was before I was married. I was in England. I came back, and they were doing some construction. She managed to sneak into the house. She was a lady who had apparently left a mental home in Seattle.
Okay.
She was obsessed with my columns, and over the last 20 years, every 10 years or so, she pops back in. And this was her latest delusion.
Mm-hmm. Well, in her particular case, there is nothing humorous in her condition.
No, but it makes a good story.
Yes, it does, and a long one. Just a joke.
You asked.
Just a joke.
You asked. I got short ones. You asked for a long one.
Just a joke.
God, fetch. Ever since we had carnal knowledge.
Careful now. You know how.
I know.
Be very careful, right?
Yes,
Harlan
boss.
Ellison is the guest. The new book of a collection of great stories is called Slippage. We'll be right back with Harlan after this break. Free in Miami. Hi, Daryl. Tom here. Welcome to CBS.
Hi, Tom. Big fan of Harlan's. Ever since I was in the Navy and I picked up a book of his called Dangerous Visions back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
A compilation of all the great writers that were allowed to do subjects that they thought were taboo at the time. And I was just wondering if he thought there was anything today that he could redo or that people can't write about today that he could do a book like that again.
It's worse today. It's worse today than it was then.
Well,
we've got,
as far as political correctness or just taboo subjects?
Just any old thing. You never know what you're going to say that's going to get some right-wing religioso buggy. And we're in, as a matter of fact, we're in Banned Book Week. And if you go to any bookstore where they've got a display of banned books, you see there it's Moby Dick and it's Tom Sawyer and it's Huckleberry Finn.
Classics.
And you figure, what the hell could it possibly be in Moby Dick that bothers the Christian right? Would they rather be called Moby Richard? I don't know.
Well, we had a gag when we were kids that Moby Dick was a venereal disease, but we've gone beyond that.
But that's for 6-year-olds.
That's right. That's
for
the
people
age.
who are dementos, like people
myself,
who want to ban books. You're not a demento. You're all for reading good stuff. There's a lot of things that are utterly taboo. I could tell you a thing I said to Bill Maher on another show, but that would be talking about another show, so I ain't going to do that.
Okay.
Is there any chance of of you putting together the same great group of writers, or any other of the writers, and doing
sure, particularly
like
the dead ones. Yeah,
take them up again like you used to.
there is a third book called The Last Dangerous Visions. Keep watching the skies.
Great. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm glad you're out of the Navy.
It was one of my favorite books of all times, and I went back and read everything that you ever wrote after that.
Okay.
Daryl, thanks
Gentleman junkie on up.
All right, Daryl.
Okay, Daryl, thanks for calling, and have a great evening, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
All
On
right.
your show.
Bye-bye. In this thing you've got out now, you have a little essay at the front, which I read today. It's called The Fault in My Lines.
Yeah.
And you talk about your battle with your ticker and the earthquake in your house, and you
Right.
talk about all the time we have all wasted. Yeah. All the motions we've gone through that we have no business going through. So talk to me about that. How your philosophy has changed since you've had to undergo some adversity.
When you're young, you go for the okie doke on a lot of stuff. I mean, they tell you success and the proper marriage. 2.3 children, all that. And you find, or I find, that at some point you have to start cutting away all the stuff and figure out what's important. Like coming down to the show tonight. We were a little late, and the driver was a nice man, but he was getting very nervous. And I said, it's only television.
Exactly right.
I said, the worst that happens, Tom will have a half an hour of recorded organ music.
Yeah.
This won't affect Western civilization. You start wondering about what really counts. What really counts in the final analysis is what you leave behind in terms of the work you do and the people who loved you. Because you never know what posterity's going to do.
Yeah, and nothing else really matters. Now, there's another piece in this same book, and I wonder if it was spawned in any way by the faults in my lines, and that is Where I Shall Dwell in the Next World.
Well, where I shall dwell in the next world is everybody's always asking me where do you get your story ideas? Mm-hmm. And I always give them that smart ass answer, Schenectady. I do. They say, there's always somebody that invariably in a lecture, someone will say, where'd you get your ideas?
Yeah,
which is a question even Socrates couldn't answer. So I say Schenectady. And they go, huh? I say, yeah, there's an idea service in Schenectady. Every week I send them $25. They send me a fresh six-pack of ideas every week. And there's always some schmuck comes up afterwards and asks me for the address. It never fails. So, but one of the ways in which I get stories is I mishear things on purpose. And one time somebody was asking me for some Necco wafers, the chocolate Necco wafers. Yeah. But I didn't hear Necco wafers. I heard necro waiters. And I thought, ooh, necro, meaning dead waiters. Ooh, what a great idea. So I wrote this story, Where I Shall Dwell in the Next World, which is about 4 of these little stories that I made up from misheard stuff. And then I explained process. And process is the most interesting part of writing. That's what it's all about.
The process.
The process, where it comes from and how you get there.
Mm-hmm. How it gets from here into this
wonderful book, Slippage.
Into the book that we
I wish you had 4 minutes. If we had 4 minutes.
We don't have anywhere
I know
near
we don't have
4 minutes.
Anywhere. There's a short story in there that takes exactly 4 minutes to read. And I would love to read it to you on the air. Trust me, this would be an experience. You'd love it.
I'm not a great believer in having things read on the air, but let me read the story to myself, and if I think so, you'll come back soon.
It's called The Lingering Scent
Or
of
even
Woodsman.
better, we could send a crew to your house, and you could read it to us from your very own living room.
I would be more than delighted.
Never let a crew.
I live to serve you, Tom.
No, but never let the cameras come inside your house, ever.
Like I do my commentaries on the channel.
Oh, okay.
The other channel, whose name will not pass my lips.
I love you dearly, and I thank you for coming in. And
thank you for letting me push the book.
Hey, you're the best. Harlan Ellison is the guest. He's one of the great writers of our time, and he tells great stories in Slippage, which is in hardcover and is now in the stalls. Back after these messages. So I sing some of the horror stories that are coming out. We'll take a look at some tax collection mistakes and grievances on this program tomorrow night. The only thing I wonder about is why did it take him 50 years to get to this? Incidentally, the greatest masterpiece ever written is but a dictionary out of order. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station. Thanks for watching, everybody.